Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Slick James Johnson, Paul, Arwin, and Mark. Or is it Mac? My bad, Mac. How you all doing?
Good afternoon.
Good morning, good morning.
Also been joined by Sleeping Warrior. How you doing, Anthony?
Hey.
Very good to have you all. So I'm going to start before housekeeping just by summing up something that Red Pill managed to weasel out of the rumpus. And it's obviously akin to the subject that's been discussed quite a lot at the moment, which is the curve calculation and its lack of perspective. So during one of Jose's hangouts, and Jose actually did join us on the pre-show, but he got a bit offended when I rephrased ad hominem attack that he had from John after a handwave dismissal from Jose. But you can check out that on Nathan Oakley channel if you want to see the pre-show. That'll go out after both live shows end. Anyway.
Oh, Ranty.
Hey, Ranty.
Hiya.
Hiya. You'll be interested in this, Ranty. It's akin to the conversation we were having this morning. So when Red Pill Philosophy went on to Jose's show, he was armed with a life is short example where he took a Canon and an iPhone and showed that the aperture, or if you want to calculate it, the Rayleigh criterion, and the smaller aperture of the iPhone made a light in the distance disappear. In other words, you had bottom-up obstruction, if you want to phrase it that way, due to the aperture of the camera, and Rumpus conceded it. He said it's down to the f-stop, something that is absolutely ignored when you take the actual sizes of the targets in the distance. So, in short, Rumpus and Bob the Fallacy Guy and Wiggles and Kosho and Mick West all admit there is no perspective in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator, but in this particular instance we have a secondary cause. Now, the Earth curve calculator can only assert one cause of things disappearing in the distance. Earth curve. There is no other cause. Well, Rumpus, who's another one of these clowns who's laughing at all of you globeheads, and I'm going to join him. I'm going to join Rumpus in his laughter, because he knows there is other causes of things being obscured from bottom up. He described it as f-stop. Absolutely down to the aperture of the camera equipment being used when making the example in the Life is Short video, where the light disappears in the iPhone but is still visible in the Canon due to its larger f-stop value. So, Rumpus knows this, but he's never told us, he's never calculated it, but he's submitted it to Red Pill Philosophy and excluded it from his actual size geometric calculations. So in other words, to put it more succinctly, Rumpus knows that the Earth is flat, and he knows how to manipulate the mathematical values and ignore something that he's absolutely aware of, the f-stop value being a cause of things disappearing, and more than content to tell you globers who want to believe and are looking for confirmation bias that the only thing causing things to disappear in the distance, the single cause asserted by the Earth curve calculations, geometric perspective exclusive curve calculations, is Earth curve. Well, he's well aware of other causes, so he's laughing at you, like I'm laughing at you, and I hope the rest of the panel are laughing at you, because we know there's other causes, and we are the ones challenging him. You glowheads just accept what he says.
What is this f-stop value?
The aperture size
The
based on the
aperture.
zoom, so it changes depending on how far you are zoomed in. You'll get a smaller aperture. Well, the aperture of the equipment being used, obviously that varies with the zoom and focal length of the camera, but it's ultimately down to the aperture. Well, the aperture's calculable in the Rayleigh criterion. Well, that's perspective. The limit, the diffraction limit, the point where something will become too small to see and no longer be able to be resolved. Well, that's calculable based on the aperture. It's the Rayleigh criterion. Well, Rumpus is aware of this. He knows there's another cause. Why did the light disappear? F-stop value. Where's that in the calculation? Ignored.
But Nathan, you do realise that they know that we know, and we've been telling them these, and they've been acting dumb for months, if not probably a year, over this particular subject, until they're presented with evidence, and then all of a sudden they already know it. You know, I mean, this is what we have to do to drag it out of them. You know.
Yeah.
And to the audience that sees that we are actually speaking the truth, and these Globers come on and they act so incredibly stupid and deny until the point that you actually are literally, never mind burning the toes to the fire, you're actually sticking the legs in the fire, and then they have to admit it.
And in so doing, they're admitting that they are laughing at the people they are deceiving. They are fully aware of the other causes of things disappearing in the distance. F-stop, right, Rumpus? Where's that in your calculation? Oh, it's not there. You're going to give us another list of reasons why this is excluded and not needed? I'm sure you will. But you're very much aware that photographs and the f-stop value are going to cause things to disappear from bottom up based on distance. Sod all to do with Earth curve, completely ignored by Rumpus. So he's lying to you. The Globers, not us. We know this. We've been trying to tell you for ages. Yeah? Angle of attack videos, you all laugh and say it must be curvature causing it, curved floor. Well, there's a reason why you've been led down that path by people like Rumpus. It's because his calculations and all of the calculations only have one cause to assert. So when a book disappears in the distance on a flat floor, you can be damn sure it's going to be blamed on curvature. Because when it gets scaled up to Earth curve, yeah, that's all that the calculator can assert. That's the only cause. So it's always going to be an obstruction caused by a curved floor. Hey, Chocolate saying. Hey, Chris.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chris.
So, Nathan, can I ask a question then?
Yeah?
When Drury put out his £5,000 challenge that Zach and Ranty responded to, does it mean that Drury's got it wrong? Perspective isn't accounted for in the curve calculators?
Yeah, Rory absolutely was wrong. He was wrong when we had Mick West on, 8 months ago? And we're holding him to account for his exclusion of perspective. The guy who's creating the most popular calculator you can go to. Well, he knows there's no perspective in it, and he's prepared to defend why there's no perspective in it. Rumpus knows there's no perspective in it. Clue is in the title. Geometric calculation. Wiggles knows there's no perspective in it, and he's going to argue the toss and tell us that it's not needed. Kosho's going to tell us we're idiots for thinking it should be included. But Rory thinks it is included. Now, logically, as a Glober who's being deceived by people like Rumpus, who knows that there's other causes, like f-stop, that make things disappear from bottom up, depending on the equipment used, well, all of these people who know the calculations exclude perspective, they're the people deceiving you. Rory is just an unfortunate dumbfuck. And that unfortunate dumbfuck would naturally assume that you would include something that's a very real fact of life, perspective, when telling you how far away things disappear because of Earth curve. It just doesn't. Yeah? Well, your natural assumption that a logical thing like perspective would be included in that calculation is just wrong. And rather than accept that he's been duped by the calculation, he's doubled down on it and made himself look even more stupid, while his peers make it even more clear that it's not included. So well done, Rory. Our hat is off to you. This would have been, left in the dusty old archives. Instead, it's come right to the forefront, hasn't it, Rumpus? Yeah? You and your f-stop value that's being ignored. Yeah? You can thank Rory for that. You can thank Red Pill for that. You can thank Life is Short for that. All the people that get told, no, it's a curved floor. No, it's only a curved floor because there's only one assertion by the Earth curve calculator. Curved Earth. So all these other things they're well aware of. They're not telling you, Globers. We know. We're trying to tell you and you laugh at us, don't you? Well, now we can have a good laugh at you. You're being laughed at by Rumpus.
So, let's change topic whilst we laugh at them. We'll laugh at them again afterwards. I want to give a shout out to a channel that I was watching in the last couple of days. I did shout it out yesterday, but I'm going to do it again today because he's put another video out. And I'm going to share screens, Nathan, if you would. And basically what this video is, it's from a channel called Heliocentric Suicide. I'm going to respond to Not Flat. Not Flat's a troll, and I would normally ignore him, but he's put on Sleeping Warrior, Advanced Earth Curve Calculator by Walter Bislin. Okay, so this guy, this channel, Heliocentric Suicide, if you've not watched this video or you've not subbed to him, go and sub to him because he's doing something with drones that I think is quite interesting. And I want people to be aware of it. And if you've got a drone, go and do the same test yourself and see if you can repeat it, or do you get different results. So specifically, I'm talking to Flat Earth Perth. He's got a drone. Someone put out the message to him and asked him to look at this video and let's see if he'll repeat it and get the same results. What he's doing is he's responding to Wolfie, and Wolfie's put a video up. It's something to do with the sunset through a solar filter. You can watch the video and see what you think. And what he's showing is that when Wolfie rises his camera on his drone, the gain in elevation on the horizon, the gain in elevation of the drone causes the horizon to rise. Now, Red's Rhetoric has apparently put a video up previously where he showed that the horizon dropped when he did a drone increase in altitude. But this guy's gone and tested the claim that Red's Rhetoric made, which was that the horizon drops, and he found that the horizon rises. Now, on a sphere, it drops at all times as you gain elevation, right? But on a on a flat plane, if you rise in elevation, if you think about what used to be called dirty air, the reflective band that sits on the horizon that we're talking about, if that didn't actually exist and you removed it out of the image, the horizon would then, what you see as the hard horizon would rise up to the hard horizon, because basically there's no mirroring layer there anymore. So this band across the horizon, this like green colored band, that might be the mirror layer that we talk about. But if that didn't exist in the optics of what we observe, then it would rise up to the horizon, and the horizon would be what it would actually be. But this looks like it's a furlong on a horse track. It's in our foreground rather than in the background of the horizon. And what he's found is that as the thing rises, the drone rises, it goes up and up and up, but the horizon rises with the camera. Now, it shouldn't do that if the Earth's a ball. It should only do that if the Earth is plane. So what I've done is I've asked deep inside the rabbit hole, would he look at the video and would he repeat the observation and see what happens? And not only would he do it, I'm asking Flat Earth Perth and anybody else with a drone, basically just raise your elevation with your drone and look at the horizon and fix your gimbal so it don't move, and then see what happens. Because this guy's showing that it seems to not support the assertion that we live on a ball. And if this is the easiest test that people with drones can do to establish whether or not the horizon drops the way it should do on a ball, or does it in fact for some reason rise, and that's, I'm going to say, might be something to do with the angle, that as you open up the angle you're going to see further, and that would then effectively cause your horizon to rise. But that can't happen on a sphere. So go into his channel, subscribe to him, watch his most recent video. Does Wolfie debunk the globe, or at least Red's Rhetoric? And basically, if the horizon rises the way he's portraying, or the way he can get it to do it, and other people are then repeating it and getting the same results, then the ball earthers are going to have to explain this, because on their model it should drop all the time. The horizon should drop. It should never rise at any point. So basically, what's going on here? If it really is a ball, this is going to have to be explained, because it can't drop on, it can't rise on a ball. It can only ever drop. So I hope I made that concise enough now. But should we go back to?
I got one point about the angle of attack.
Concise? You, Riley?
Hey,
I got
Jose.
one point about the angle of attack.
Hold on, Owen. Go ahead, Jose.
One point about the angle of attack. So people still, I like that people uses still my video on the supermarket of the light disappearing from the bottom up. But from now, moving on, he who uses that video or point at it, Jose have done it like this. I will call him disingenuous, because I have debunked it myself. I went back to the supermarket where I did it physically, and I let the camera roll. The videos on my channel is titled Angle of Attack Unedited Raw Version, something like that. And I did it from 4 different points on the actual supermarket, and the 1 point or 2 points where I did the first test, the light did disappear, but then in 2 different other spots, the light did not disappear in the same distance or bigger distance. So I was able to debunk my own video. That gave me a relaxation about, yeah, this is bunks. The light cannot disappear from the bottom up
Is
unless
that the
you
same
got some
camera?
little bumpiness and some the same exact setup. Same
Yeah,
exact
that's what I
setup.
mean. You see, the difference with what we've just said there with Red Pill is that he used two different camera types. Two
Yeah,
different
but
aperture
the
types.
only point, yeah, the only point I want to make is people who continue using my video, promoting it as this is one of the evidence that things disappear from the bottom up in a flat surface because of supermarket floor, Jose Lite, will be disingenuous because that was a misinterpretation from myself in the beginning. And now when I'm able to debunk it and the video is on my channel and I have talked about it, it's not a flat floor because in other spots, the light did not disappear. So I will call that person disingenuous. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh,
Thank you.
really? Well, that's
Sorry, but
unfortunate.
what you say is not the evidence. It's your video that
Yeah,
is the
right.
evidence.
Exactly. It's not what you say after the fact. It's a bit like Wiggles saying, "Oh yeah, I did say the gas would fill the space, but now I want to say something else." Oh well, you've already presented the evidence. You've made your light disappear, and it's been replicated by dozens and dozens of other people, including Life is Short, utilised by Red Pill, and when put in front of Rumpus, f-stop was the cause. He didn't seem to be saying anything about curved floor. Just the f-stop value, something completely ignored in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve maths, because they can only assert one cause, curve. Hey Mac Doody for you, you a sniper? Straight on mute. Get out.
I got him.
So yeah, it's one thing saying, well, I've debunked my own footage, what about the other dozens of people that have done it?
Yeah, I have a citation here, Nathan, for the
Hello.
mirrored
Planet Earth.
water layer.
Cool. Is this what we were talking about this morning?
It is, yeah.
This is ace, yeah. Can you make it a bit bigger?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Good. Too big?
Too big. One sec.
That's it, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is the important thing here. It says that right at the ocean surface, in the top few millimeters, a cool skin exists with lowered temperature caused by the combined heat losses from the long wave radiation, sensible and latent heat fluxes. The cool skin is always present and is the actual sea surface temperature measured by airborne infrared radiometers. In contrast, in situ sensors in the top few meters measure the bulk. Just let me get to the point.
Yeah, it's the sweaty coolie
Oh,
area.
here we go. Air-sea fluxes are transported through the molecular layer almost instantaneously so that the upper mixed layer can be considered in direct contact with the atmosphere. In other words, the air and the sea are considered the same. And what happens when you have air that acts like sea? It creates a mirrored layer. Here we have it from the NOAA.gov. The thing that we've been talking about, the mirrored water layer, it's actually talking about it right here.
Is
Yeah,
that the specific effect that caused you to be able to see the shore when you did the camera water level? Remember that one? Is that the effect that causes that?
I don't know what you're going on about.
What is,
Well, you had like a double type of mirror, two different mirror zones then. Or was it Riley? No, it was you, right? You dug a hole on the beach and then you put your camera there?
From the 1 foot observation when I got
And you kind of looked underneath that layer, remember?
Yes, yeah, that could be interesting.
That's interesting point, Alwyn. Maybe have to have another look at that. But the point is,
I said
it's
it was peeking under
documented.
the blanket.
This is another cause that's ignored. That's the point.
But what this does is it validates our assertion that there is actually a mirrored water layer above the water, and it's actually documented here, and they call it a cool skin, and it might only be a few millimeters. That's all you need. That's literally all you need. And this is right at the ocean surface. There's actually another layer above that, which I'll get to in I'll find the actual citation for that because I was reading it earlier on. But there's actually an additional layer above this layer. So you've got the low skin, and then you've got a higher skin as well, which actually creates a lot of disturbance. And I'll get to that point in a minute. So let me find the citation, and I'll come back to it.
If you had a third skin, and that would be called the third skin. If you had then a fourth skin, that would be a foreskin.
Okay.
Boom, boom.
Fine.
Very droll.
Very funny.
Sorry.
So there we go from, what is it? NOAA? What's that? NOAA.gov?
Yeah, NOAA. Isn't it the nautical? I've come across NOAA before because they've got something similar for the planes in the sky. Isn't
Right.
it NORAD?
Yeah. They've got the Coriolis reference detailed with Earth turning underneath. Shout out to Leonardo Gonzalez for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed.
One thing I forgot to say on the when I was plugging that guy's video, when he rises and the horizon rises, I forgot to mention the troll comment. Walter Bisslin's calculator shows that that's what it does on a flat plane, but on a ball it doesn't do that. And it basically the video that he's supporting is supporting flat plane. It's not supporting ball.
Right, I'll just reshare again because this is. It's not responding. Typical, isn't it?
Well, thank you for bringing this new data to the forefront. Very interesting.
Agreed.
Another piece of the puzzle.
I'm gonna
Very
have
interesting
to.
indeed.
I'm gonna have to rejoin.
Okay.
If anybody else joins while he's gone, we'll make sure we kick their candy ass.
I don't mind.
Did Jose run or was he kicked?
No, he just dropped.
Yeah.
Hey, back.
That was great.
Try that again.
Yeah, I'll try and share my screen again. One sec.
Ranty, make sure your Windows is up to date.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, working.
Okay, so yeah, this is an important document, really, because it goes into talk about stuff about the mixing of the sea waves, etc., and stuff. There's an upper mixed layer in the site. Is this big enough for you guys to see?
A bit bigger would be good.
Okay. So it goes on. The upper mixed layer is the site of active air sea exchanges. Energy for the upper mixed layer to change its vertical structure comes from wind mixing or through a surface of buoyancy flux. Wind mixing causes the vertical turbulence and convective overturning of water in the mixed layers by waves, and also by the entertainment of cooler water through the bottom of the mixed layer. This is literally explaining the circle of confusion. Well, not the circle of confusion, but you know the area that we were talking about where it's really difficult to actually see anything when it's windy. This is excellent stuff. If you guys want this, this PDF, I can definitely send it to you. I mean, I've only just started reading it, but it's just awesome because it looks like it goes on for quite a bit and goes into great detail about the atmosphere.
Good geological data. Also, it reminds me, this effect kind of reminds me of in a hot summer's day when you're sweating. It's because of the natural heat exchange effect that this cooling layer manifests. Just like if you were sweating on a hot day, on your skin, it's going to be kind of cold. Just the smallest of breezes. So it's kind of the same. Interesting. Sorry for...
No, it's fine. I was looking into, was it the Baltic Sea? Let's see if this is up. And I was looking for a reason, you know, that observation from that ferry where we saw blockage at the bottom.
Yeah, Ranty, we should present that so that people can see it, because people might not know what you're referring to if you reference it just by words. Do you want to get it on screen so you can just present it? Because it's there you go. But basically, if this is really the curve of the Earth over this distance, then we must be living on a basketball.
No, but the thing I want to draw to your attention here is that what we're actually looking at is perspective, and it's a different type of perspective because we just don't appreciate the size of the waves that we're looking at. Because this is zoomed in on a boat, probably at this point, probably 7 or 8 miles away, we can't appreciate how big these waves are. But in his video, it's quite clear that on the conditions on this day were breezy, choppy, etc. And this is in the Baltic Sea. So I want to draw your attention to that. You can tell by just the wave formation that they did. It's not a calm day, right? It's not a calm day, and that's important. Because when I go back to this description of the Baltic Sea, and it goes into it, all the hydrography of it, etc. And this is the important part. So let me just scroll into this point. Oh, lost it, have I? No, there we go. Wave height in calm weather varies between 2 and 3 meters. Now that's quite important, because in calm weather, what that's saying is when it's calm still, we've got 2 or 3 meter waves, in this location. So on days when it's pretty choppy and it's windy, etc., you would imagine that it would be higher than that. And definitely these days when he's filming this, these waves would have to be considerably higher than in calm weather, because that certainly wasn't filmed in calm weather. And I think there's oh yes, there is. There's an image that goes with that, which will be on here. So here's we have the same boat. This is a calm. These are images of it being in calm weather. Let me just scroll over here so you guys can see this. But this is what we look about when we're looking at calm. Flat water. That's calm water. And funnily enough, he's actually got a screenshot of his boat at the time, and you can see that this certainly isn't calm. So on calm days, 2 to 3 meter waves. On choppy days, you've got to say maybe 5 to 6 meter waves, because we just don't appreciate the size of those waves out in the deep ocean.
Shout out to Mind of God for the super chat. Thank you very much for your support.
So, when we're looking for an explanation, things get smaller in the distance. His elevation was apparently 4 meters. If that's the case, and we're looking over 6 meter waves, then obviously things are going to get hidden behind that 2 extra meters of wave height. And I'll just replay the video again, because it's quite obvious that this is a choppy day, and we just don't appreciate. I mean, this boat is massive, and we're not appreciating the height of these waves and how much water's being chucked up out the back of the boat. There's a lot going on, and so looking for an explanation, that's probably the most logical.
The background is so incredibly light, mist, white.
I just spotted something. Just go back a bit. There's a post on the left-hand side. I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Keep going. You'll get a frame of it.
Do it in.
Yeah, just let it play on slow-mo, and hopefully we'll catch it. I'll look at the timestamp, see if we can see it.
I think it was about 7 seconds, Ranty.
There.
Well, that'll do. I mean, I was actually looking on the left-hand side.
Another one there. But it's there as it goes across the screen.
Yeah. There we go. So stop. That's perfect. Look at that. Stop. Don't move an inch. So if we look, is this on screen for the audience? Just to be on the safe side. So what we're talking about is this. Now, this wave is a wave in the near foreground. Yeah? It's obscured half of this thing in the distance. Yeah? Well, as this wave dissipates, so if Ranty can click it on one frame.
Oh, that'll be difficult. I can go back. Let me go back.
No, just press play and stop again.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. It won't let me do it. There's one. You can't see the bottom of it.
There you go. So it's being obscured by waves that are in the near foreground. This is simply an effect of perspective. Big stuff is obscured by small stuff if it's closer to you. And there's an example in this footage of something that's obviously far away, and it's only got to have a couple of foot wave by, I can't tell how big the waves are, but a wave, and you can lose half of it to the wave because the wave's closer to you than the thing in the background. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate the point about this this information here, is that this isn't my citation. This is from this study of the area. It's mcgill.ca, and it's going into great detail about the entire region. And essentially, I'm quoting from that, where it says that these waves in calm weather are 2 to 3 meters in height, and it obviously isn't in calm weather when he's filming this. So,
Ranty, I wanted to ask you, could you cite some sources for that page at the bottom? Does it have source? Just glance through that.
Just while you're doing that, so just to reply to was, how does Nathan know half is obscured? What a wanker. Well, because it was on screen, we could see half as much when the wave got in the way. It wasn't that visually obvious, was. Maybe open your eyes.
Was is a bit like Wiggles. They're in the same category. They both begin with W. They both rhyme with anchor.
Oh, hold on. This is oh,
Sorry, Ranty, we're completely hijacking you because of the chat.
Yeah, that's fine. And so we have an explanation as to what can be causing that boat to fall behind those waves. Essentially, it gets smaller as it goes further away, and we're probably looking at 5 or 6 meter high waves. But we just don't appreciate the size of them because we're looking at them thinking we're standing by the seashore, but just as they're lapping up against the sand. But the further you go out to sea, the bigger the waves get. And
don't forget, the crest of the wave before blocks off the bottom of the wave behind it. You can't see how deep the waves are.
I mean, you look at the size of this wave here in the boat. I mean, that could be a 5 meter wave. I mean, this boat, let's get some dimensions, shall we? Because I'm sure we've got height for the boat. Let's just see. Very top height, very hidden height. I have no idea what that means. Very top height. Where's the top? So that must be the top part of the boat.
Yeah, I think that must be the top line.
24 meters.
Across the Mersey to this land, the place I love. The Liverpool song.
Yeah,
Why hasn't he got
How
the
you feeling,
dimensions of this boat?
Shout out to
Length
Del
is-
West Watson for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. He says Ranty is ace. I agree.
Okay, well, the length of this
Shout
boat.
retracted.
Here we go. The length of this boat is 112 meters, right? That's the length of it. Let's have a look at it in the video because I can't get a height citation for it right at this second. But the length of it is 112 meters, right? So from this edge, from this back part here, you got to imagine it's turned around to the front is 112 meters. I'm going to have to say it's probably at least 40 meters high. So what height is this? Is this wave in the foreground here? What wave?
Ranty,
Yeah.
Ranty, could I just address
tidal
the
bulge, remember?
Let me just address, or let's address Rumpus's comment in chat. He says, "Morons, the waves are clearly small, and the boat and the waves covering the post were from the boat. They were not close. Anyhow, the waves are much smaller than the boat. I've lost it now. But do you want to just show him what happens on a calm day in that citation, Ranty?
No. Before you do, small. What feet and inches value, Rumpus? Well, what about their angular size? Because if I put a fly in front of this camera, I could block the entire view with something very, very small indeed. But its angular size, if it's right in front of the camera, is absolutely enormous. Like the tree example I give when I show a tree in the near foreground filling up 50% of the frame. Well, it's not an enormous tree. It might be a very small tree in feet and inches. So let's not worry about how big the waves are. Because if they're in the near foreground and something is behind them, there's a potential of the angular size of the thing in the distance being even smaller than the wave, Rumpus. That's the point. It's perspective. But when you use your actual sizes, it's just a small wave, isn't it? Well, that doesn't really take into account how far and how big an angle. Now, does it, Rumpus?
Right, I'm seeing, if I may.
I noticed that Rumpus has not done a video calling out Rory for getting his perspective bet $5,000 thing wrong. Wouldn't you expect Rumpus, the man of integrity that he claims to be correcting his colleague? And no, don't see any correction videos, Rumpus.
Also,
I'm still waiting for his response video to your video from last night.
The one that he's 99.9% complete done.
It's been 13 months now.
Also, Rumpus
he probably still has a cold.
Rumpus has disclaimed that...
His cold's come back round again. Oh, thanks.
Rumpus has disclaimed that the f-stop is a cause of things disappearing from bottom up. Well, I've never seen him calculate the f-stop value when he's asserting actual sizes. Have you?
This is the f-stop. I've got it up here for you, Arwin. So when you go to your f aperture, so you're looking at f16, this is the pixel. So we've got all these pixels here. We've got 25 pixels in a square. And this is the aperture. So the f16 is capturing all this data. But what's happening is some of that data is spilling into the neighboring pixels. So most of the data is collected in the center. Well, say half the data is collected in that pixel, and the remainder of it is spread out. Now, as you can see, once it gets to this midway point, which it has on this is now met its diffraction limit. So what that would mean is that you would, in this pixel, you would also have the same effects going on here, and the two would be basically overlapping each other. So it would be diffraction, you would have meted and breached the diffraction limit on f16 with this type of camera. When you lower, now so you're on an f11, you're actually seeing some spillage into the neighboring pixels, but it's not quite enough to become diffracted, as in diffracting limited. It is diffracting though. So you're going to get some blurring. You know, it's not going to be clear imagery. You're going to get some spillage from both. And then when you drop it down again and you go down into the f8, again, you find that all the information is now captured in this one pixel.
Yeah.
So so now we've got a clear image. Yeah. So when you get something like this here, this is where it's reached its diffraction limit, because all these pixels will be blending into each other, obscuring everything. It'd just be one mess of nothing.
Well, I think that the middle one would be kind of bright, and around it
Now,
would be.
you're showing me an example. Hold on.
Talking about Paul being competent. I mean, this is what Riley gets things every single day.
That's just a silly ad hom.
No, it's not, because it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. You can things like Riley, when he goes to things like measure slopes and things, he always does something stupid. Same with Ranty. Same with every flat earther I've ever met.
Look, you're appealing to some unknown mistake that he might have made.
Yeah, but it always happens. And but also, so I can't rely on any of the
different aperture sizes, different lens sizes at the exact same height. It disappears out of one, but not the other, and then reappears in the other one once he makes it higher, changing the angles involved.
But the floor is not perfectly flat.
No. More importantly, well, when you're on an airplane, what is the sunset?
Okay, so he had just placed it at the same height of the other camera, and go ahead now he's zooming in, and you just cannot see the light.
It's a lower resolution and a lower f-stop number, you utter moron.
So there's Rumpus making it clear that it's a lower f-stop value that's causing this light to disappear. So he's just made it clear in the chat that he's never made that claim. So I'm just going to play that again.
It's elevated at the same height of the other camera, and it's going to not be visible in the iPhone, even though it's visible in the other camera right next to it. So that's why.
Question real quick.
Yeah.
Are the measurements from the floor to the lens, are they being measured from to the center of the lens?
It's measured to the center of the lens. It's also taken into account, obviously, the body of his iPhone 6S.
No, that's irrelevant. I'm saying, is the measurement the same from the floor to the center of the lens?
Yeah.
All right. Continue.
Okay. So he had just placed it at the same height of the other camera, and go ahead now he's zooming in, and you just cannot see the light.
It's a lower resolution and a lower f-stop number, you utter moron.
That's the point.
Yeah, Nathan, you got the timing slightly wrong on that first one. You needed to keep Red Pill Philosophy saying, that's the point, because that's the best bit of the whole video.
Right, so Rumpus has made it very clear that the f-stop value and the lower resolution is the reason that light disappeared. Yeah, so there's another cause of something disappearing from the bottom up, in this case a light, at the end of a flat floor. Well, f-stop value, where's that in the calculation, Rumpus? It seems you've excluded this very real detail that you know exists, so you have claimed it. It was your rebuttal to why the light disappeared in the iPhone and not the Canon. F-stop, you made it very clear. You called him a moron after making it very clear that that is a cause. So, Rumpus, your calculator only has one cause, doesn't it? Earth curve. So, why would you...
I think...
All right, that's it. Hijack my point, are we? Go ahead.
Sorry, man, sorry. But I think I get how he's reasoning. If he is sure that it's a globe, then he'll use the curvature calculator. Otherwise, if he knows it's not a globe, he knows it's a flat floor, he won't apply it, and then he'll bring up the f-stop value. So it's just compartmentalizing the knowledge.
He's just said it again. The camera is more sensitive to dark objects with lower f-stop, so things can be seen with lower with lower stop can be seen with higher stop. I think it means f-stop. The camera changes with auto exposure. Rumpus, this is a cause of things disappearing. The equipment, the f-stop. It's not included in your geometric actual size calculator. It doesn't account for the Rayleigh criterion, the point where the resolution limit, otherwise known as the diffraction limit, they're not accounted for. It's only one cause in the Earth curve calculator. Earth curve, that's the only thing you assert has caused things to disappear. Well, you've made it clear you know that there's other reasons things disappear. F-stop. Why hasn't that been included?
Nathan, earlier on, when you were reporting this first time round, your words were akin to, Rumpus absolutely knows about f-stop, and he absolutely knows that the Earth's flat, and he's lying to you and laughing at you whilst he does. Do you still maintain that position while he's watching?
Absolutely, without question. Rumpus knows this is a cause of things disappearing. He's made it clear in this chat. He's made it clear to Red Pill Philosophy. He knows this is a cause of things disappearing. It's not accounted for. This cause has never ever come up. It's never been asserted as a reason or potential reason that something's disappeared in the distance. Only Earth curve, because they've only got one trick. They're one-trick ponies. Earth curve's the only assertion they can make. The only reason things disappear, according to those geometric calculations, is Earth curve. Well, there's other causes, and Rumpus knows about them. He's literally pissing in your faces, globeheads. He knows all this stuff, the stuff that we're exposing. He's quite content to disclose it to Red Pill Philosophy as a reason when it's being absolutely and unequivocally demonstrated as the reason. Yeah, he'll disclaim it then, because he's got nowhere to go, but it's not included. Actual sizes only. No account for the equipment and the f-stop value that Rumpus knows is the cause of things disappearing. So while you Muppets laugh and assert that the floor's curved, because that's the only thing that's going to be asserted when this gets scaled up, isn't it? And Rumpus knows it. It's always got to be Earth curve. Right? That's the only cause. Except when it's f-stop. That's not included. That would be an effective perspective. Calculable in the Rayleigh criterion.
So I've always said in the past that Rumpus knows that it's not a sphere. It may not be flat. It probably is flat, but it might be somewhere else. But Rumpus absolutely knows this, and I've said this before. And this proves it, because if he knows that f-stop is the cause for why that was happening, guess what? He does know. He's literally pissing in your face, guys, and he smiles and giggles against us. But we all know that he's a liar. But he projects his dishonesty and his lies onto us. No, you're the moron, Rumpus, and we've known it for years. But all your dick holders just support you because they want you to be right, no matter how wrong you are. Must be massively manly to be like in that position, Rumpus. No matter how wrong you are, they still want you to be right. Here, hold my willy.
I think you guys are highly underestimate the power of mental compartmentalization. And you're assuming that he's just consciously dealing with this. No, it's a system. He's applying a system. And it applies to his own consciousness as well. So he's literally splitting up how he applies his methods. And this f-stop, when he knows he's not looking over a curved surface, when that's a given, then he says, oh yeah, then you can apply this because that's been tested with flat surfaces. But on the Earth, he's presupposing it's a globe, so then it's okay to use the curvature calculator. It's compartmentalized thinking. And to him, it works. But he doesn't have any personal objections this way. Do you understand? Because of the compartmentalization.
When you said then, to him it works. It's not that to him it works. It's to him other people accept it, and therefore he gets away with it. He knows it doesn't work. He knows it's a cover-up. These things only exist mathematically. They don't exist real world. What he's describing real world, orthographic views, all this nonsense, it only happens mathematically. It doesn't happen real world. We don't see orthographically. We don't see anything other than the way we see through our own eyeballs. And he knows that, and that's what he's done.
There he goes. He says f-stop is irrelevant when it comes to larger objects. Yeah, we know. You need it to be only applicable on a small scale. Well, the resolution limit, the diffraction limit, is applicable always. Your eye's got a diffraction limit. That iPhone's got a diffraction limit. Resolution limit. Like you stated, Rumpus, because you know. We know you know. We know that you're probably having a damn good chuckle at these idiot globeheads too while you piss in their face. Well, I'm going to join you in your laughter, Rumpus. Between you and I know you know I know, and we all know on this panel that you're pissing in the globeheads' faces. Because you've never told him this cause and you've just asserted that it doesn't matter at the large scale. Oh, so the diffraction limit disappears when you look further, does it, Rumpus? You're just a liar. And everybody who read that comment, oh really? So the diffraction limit doesn't scale up, does it, fuckwit? Just a liar, pissing in the globeheads' faces. Well, I salute you, Rumpus. You keep it up, mate. Keep deceiving them. And every time we point it out, it'll be with the questions we've been asking that all of the globeheads, oh, curved floor, curved floor. F-stop. What's that you say? A cause that's not curving? How so? Well, clearly Rumpus knew about it all along, didn't he, globeheads? I'd be asking him a few questions, like I'd be asking Mick West a few questions, because he just chuckles when he's cornered, like you all do. Wiggles chuckles, Rumpus chuckles, they all chuckle, because we're not being deceived. We're the ones asking these difficult questions, not just nodding and holding each other's willies, as Anthony puts it. So we're going to join Rumpus in a good chuckle at your expense, globeheads. There are other causes beyond curving. Yeah, and Rumpus knows them.
Is there any motive?
Motive? Fucking loads of reasons, yeah.
Do
you mean
no,
motive
why?
for
Why
Rumpus?
they fail to ignore these? Yeah,
Do you mean-
sorry. Yeah.
Rumpus, motives for
Clearly
Rumpus.
he knows. Clearly he knows. Sorry, Sleeping Warrior. Carry on. Sorry, Sleeping Warrior.
I think the motive for Rumpus could be financial, but it's probably purely pride. He's got a physics degree. He spent a lot of his time in his world learning about this shit. He doesn't want his world pulling apart by flat earthers.
Is there saying right now the f-stop value is irrelevant for large objects? Large objects? Right, what?
Well, you
Large
mean like
angular
dots on the horizon?
size? So when it's calculating it based on the angle, if it's got a large angle size, no, because when push comes to shove and we ask you about that comment, you'll say, well, a 100-foot building's a 100-foot building always. In other words, you'll push the narrative and use actual sizes where we're talking about angular sizes, and you'll say it's irrelevant to large objects, and when asked, you'll say that you mean in feet and inches. Yeah, we know your tricks, Rumpus. We're a step ahead of you now. Yeah? You're just pathetic to us now, Rumpus, and we know you're lying at the globe head's expense. So we're going to join you, Rumpus. While you think you're being clever saying that it doesn't affect large objects, we know you're talking about feet and inches now, don't we? Because the Rayleigh criterion is absolutely applicable to the angular size of things now, isn't it, Rumpus? Tell us how the Rayleigh criterion, in the chat right now, is not applicable to angular size. Tell us.
I don't think he'd be able to do that though, Nathan, would he? Because everybody knows that it is a thing.
So you think that the Rayleigh criterion is irrelevant to things of a large angular size? Well, the Rayleigh criterion is calculating the diffraction limit, where it'll disappear, Rumpus. So yeah, I suppose you could argue that something that's very large isn't likely to disappear because it's got a large angular size. And the Rayleigh criterion is pretty much only interested in the small angles now, isn't it, dickhead? So you think you're being smart, Rumpus, but we're still going to be highlighting from now until eternity that you're laughing at the globeheads you deceive. The Rayleigh criterion is absolutely applicable to the diffraction limit, the point that things become too small to see. Like that light in the iPhone, yeah? F-stop, my friend, yeah? Not asserted that cause before now, have you? Well, when we're looking at things in the distance like that iPhone light, they're very small, near the diffraction limit, and absolutely calculable in the Rayleigh criterion. So large objects, yeah, you can pretty much ignore the diffraction limit when you're looking at something massive. But we're not talking about things massive, are we? We're talking about small things in the distance that you assert Earth is curving and blocking the view of. Wow, those things definitely have a Rayleigh criterion applicable now, don't they, Rumpus? You just ignore it. Dance for me. Dance, Rumpus. You're still doing it. Push that narrative. Oh, of a large angular size, the Rayleigh criteria is relevant. Yeah, I just said what about the small size that it's calculating, the diffraction limit, where it gets too small to see. So yeah, I agree, Rumpus. Large stuff, you don't have to worry about it disappearing. Tell us how the small angles are irrelevant in the Rayleigh criterion, i.e. the stuff we're looking at far in the distance with a small angle. We're not worried about the large stuff. We're not calculating how much Earth curve has blocked the large stuff now, are we? Tell us how the small stuff's irrelevant. Go on, Rumpus, do it. Dance for
Yeah, you know,
me.
like lighthouses and stuff.
Yeah,
Buildings.
lighthouses at 30 miles. Tell us how the Rayleigh criterion isn't applicable to those small angles, Rumpus. Do it for me. Dance for me. Come on, keyboard warrior. Chop, chop, chop. There's a gap on the panel if you want to join, Rumpus.
He's not going to join today. He's going to get lynched.
Hey,
Hey,
Ruhif.
Ruhif.
Too fast.
Long time no see. Mute your YouTube page.
Oh, yeah, sorry, one sec. There we go.
Have you been sent in by somebody, Ruhif? Or have you joined on your own volition?
My own volition. I just uploaded, so I thought I'd check out what you guys are doing.
Just rip it
And my
apart.
wife's out, so I can jump on. Hey?
Ripping apart a dumb baller, and then you join. It was just ironic timing.
I have one question before I go to bed. Has anyone on the panel actually calculated the Rayleigh criterion for themselves?
Who cares? It's not in the calculations used to assert
I didn't
Earth
think
curve.
so.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah, there's a link in the info box to Perspective, a video that I did with Good Times for All. So was that just a little ad hom? You haven't done the maths that we ignore? Well done, Ruhif, for pointing out that the mathematics that are ignored in the maths that you use to assert the Earth is curved are ignored. So what? We don't do these ancillary maths that you ignore? Well, we don't need to assert that they're ignored. Very simple.
That's
Hello,
the bit he
Rumpus.
misses. Ruhif, we don't need to do any of the maths. We need to point out that the maths aren't in the calculator because they're not.
The Rumpus, why hasn't the f-stop been accounted for? Did you snipe every one of the panel and mute? Oh, right. So it looks like this is where we round out the live show, and I'll start the after show with the dead air rather than having this as the crappy outro. Hey, Earth Flattener. Oh, you can't hear me because I've been muted in the Hangout. I'll round out the live show and then start a new Hangout, Earth Flattener. Can you hear me? Or at least for the after show keen audience rather than the live audience. So with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's live debating panel for making this debate possible. Also, a huge, massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for tuning in, smashing the super chat, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. If you'd like to keep yourself occupied in the interim stages between these two debates, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!